All right, let's talk about intervals. What is an interval? Okay, well, the basic staff here. The basic thing that you need to know about intervals is that it is the distance between two notes. For example, the distance between these two notes is a perfect fifth. Okay. So all intervals get a number, all right, and a quality, meaning is it major, is it minor, is it perfect, what is, we have to use both of those to identify the interval. Now you can sometimes, use them individually, okay, but to really identify intervals, you have to have them both. So let's do another example. So we have D to A. How about D to F natural, all right, because I have no sharps or flats over here in my key signature, yes? Okay, so D to F, okay, which is what this is. This would be a, minor third. And we usually shorthand these, minor with a lowercase, a 3, and then perfect fifth. Fifths, fourths, and octaves, or 8, okay, are always perfect. We never say major fifth or minor fifth. There's no such thing, okay? Or augmented fifth or augmented fourth, okay? Well, actually, you could have an augmented fourth or an augmented fifth. All right. You don't have a minor, You don't have minor fifth or minor fourth. You have diminished, okay? So when the perfect intervals get smaller, we call them diminished, okay? When they get bigger, we call them augmented. Don't ask me why. I don't know the etymology of that, okay? Because, for example, if I have, D to F sharp here, all right, if I take this F and make it a sharp, then this is a major third, all right? But then if I lower it here to F natural, then it becomes minor. On this perfect fifth here, I'll come down here. If I had this and made this A flat, okay, D to A flat, I wouldn't call that a minor fifth. I would call it a diminished fifth, okay? Shorthand would be D5, like this, okay? Now, let's just go through the intervals here. Let's make a new layer. I love this feature in Fourscore that I can just hide that, make a new layer, so we can come back to it later if we want. All right. Now, let's just go through all the intervals. Since we're in D, or going from D, we'll just stick with that. So let's just draw D's, a few D's here. Okay. So we have D to D, which we would call a unison, okay, or a perfect one, okay, also known as unison, okay. Then D to E would be a major second. Remember, big, major, little is minor. P is perfect. A is augmented. K-O-N is diminished. Okay? All right. So then we got major second. I'm just going to do them from the scale here. I'm going to put my key signature up here. Then we're going to go D to F sharp, right? Because my sharp is in the key signature. Then D to G. Remember, this is perfect. Then D to A. We already did that one. That's a perfect 5. Okay. Then D to B is a major 6th. D to C sharp is a major 7. And then D to E is a perfect octave. All right? So we have, in a major scale, we have we have 1, 2, 3, 4 perfect intervals, and 1, 2, 3, 4 major intervals. Notice that in the major scale, okay, that they are all either perfect or major. And this is one way that you can help yourself understand intervals is by thinking of them in the relationship to the scale, okay? So like if you see an isolated, D to B natural, D natural to B natural, you can think about that in terms of the D major scale and the fact that that is a major 6. Let's change it in that case. Yeah, make a new layer. Okay. How do I duplicate a layer? Ooh, let's copy the layer. Ooh, I like that. Okay. We can come back to the major one later. So many nice features here. Okay. Let's change this to D minor. Aha. Okay. The perfect intervals will still be perfect. But let's change these major ones. These are now, you guessed it, all going to be, let's see, well, we still have D to E. All right, so actually that's a major. Whoops. D to F natural now, though, that's minor. Okay. D to B flat, that one's now minor. And D to C natural, that one is now minor. Okay. So the second is still major. Yes? Still major. So they're not all minor. So it doesn't quite work in the same way that the major scale works, all right, where every interval is either going to be perfect or minor. It's going to be this one is going to remain major. Now, how do you get to diminished and augmented intervals? Okay. A minor interval, let's just go with this minor 6th here. Use that one as our example. Okay. All right. So this B here is flat from the key signature. I'll just put it there anyway as a reminder. Okay. If I make this natural and make it 1/2 step bigger, then it's what? It's a major 6th. If I make it 1/2 step bigger again, then it would be an augmented 6th. All right, D to B sharp. Okay, so an augmented 6 and a minor 7 sound the same, and not to get too far ahead of ourselves. Okay, if I go the opposite direction and make it 1/2 step smaller, then it becomes a diminished 6th. Now you ask an important question. If it's D to B double flat, okay, why wouldn't I just put D to A? A diminished 6th is the same as a perfect 5th. Well, yes and no. They sound the same, but depending on the key and what's going on, I mean, yeah, it's kind of rare to see a note like that, but there are reasons, depending on the chord or the interval or what's going on, that it, the letter name does need to be a B, and so it needs to be 2 double flats. Otherwise, when you're going to look at it from an analytical standpoint, from a music theory standpoint, if I just say, oh, B double flat's the same as A, let me just put an A. Well, I mean, in some cases that does happen. You use an enharmonic just so the performer has an easier time playing it, but it could get really confusing, all right, from a chord progression, harmonic standpoint. And so, depending on what the piece is and what the key is and what the harmonic structure is and the way the composer is writing it, it needs to be that B double flat. Same with the B sharp, okay? Isn't that just the same as C natural? Well, they sound the same, but it depends, it's like in language, spelling matters, right? We have words that sound the same, but, we know which one we're talking about according to the spelling, and it's the exact same thing in music theory, okay? So you have to spell chords correctly, all right? It's a great analogy. And that's about it. So we're getting a little bit advanced here, but that's kind of an overview of what intervals are and how to start identifying them. If there's more you want to know about intervals, if you have questions about intervals, please, as always, don't hesitate to ask in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next one. If this was helpful to you, please like and subscribe and come back for more.